You're listening to the Inflamed and Exhausted Podcast, the show for women who are tired of being tired. I'm Lieah Torbert, CEO and co-founder of Wellness by Davlie, and I've been where you are, burned out, foggy, and wondering why my body couldn't just bounce back like it used to. On this podcast, we'll uncover the real reasons behind your fatigue, inflammation, and hormonal shifts, and I'll give you practical tools and guidance to support your body, restore your energy, and take back your health, one small step at a time. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the Inflamed and Exhausted Podcast. Today we're diving into something that confuses even the most health conscious of people, nutrition myths that quietly fuel inflammation. These are the ideas that sneak into your habits. Things like calories are all that matters, sugar's fine in moderation, you don't need to worry unless you have food allergies, and nobody agrees on what's healthy, so just doing what feels good works for us. When we look at what science actually says, a very different picture starts to emerge, one that explains why you still feel exhausted, bloated, inflamed, and foggy, even when you're doing your best to eat clean. So we're going to unpack 5 of the most persistent nutrition myths using current research to break them down and give you practical ways to move forward. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to talk about inflammatory markers. Throughout this episode, I'll refer to blood markers like CRP, IL-6, and TNF-alpha. These are measurable signals in your body that indicate the presence of inflammation, especially chronic, low-grade inflammation that doesn't cause obvious symptoms right away. So here's a quick breakdown. CRP stands for C-reactive protein. It's made by the liver in response to inflammation. High sensitivity CRP, which you'll see notated in blogs as HS-CRP, is commonly used to assess chronic inflammation and your future risk of heart disease, diabetes, and autoimmune flare-ups. Even slightly elevated levels can indicate underlying stress in your system. IL-6 stands for interleukin-6. It's a cytokine, a type of signaling molecule that's released during immune activity. IL-6 plays a dual role. It can help heal injuries, but when it stays elevated long term, it drives inflammation and contributes to fatigue, insulin resistance, and depression. TNF-alpha stands for tumor necrosis factor alpha. It's another powerful cytokine that helps fight infections, but it can cause systemic inflammation when it's persistently elevated. It's strongly linked to autoimmune conditions, joint pain, metabolic issues, and poor energy production. So when we're talking about anti-inflammatory diets or nutrition myths, we're really talking about how your everyday food choices affect these markers. And that's what makes nutrition so powerful. It's not just about weight or macros, it's about influencing the chemical messengers that control how your body functions, heals, and feels. Now that we've set the stage and explained what the inflammation markers are, you're going to learn how to recognize misinformation. We'll look at 5 common nutrition myths that sound helpful, but actually keep your body inflamed. You're going to learn what an anti-inflammatory diet really looks like. You're going to hear about the research that shows that food patterns actually reduce inflammation markers in the body and how to focus on adding the right nutrients and not just eliminating the bad stuff. We're going to learn why sugar, processed food, and food sensitivities matter more than calories. It's not just about the quantity of what you eat, it's about how certain foods directly interact with your immune system, gut, and hormone balance. And then, most important of all, you're going to leave with practical actions that you can take now. You'll get real steps that you can start using today to reduce your inflammatory load, even if your schedule is full and your eating is not as good as you'd like it to be. This episode is about empowering you with facts, not fear, and offering a path forward that works with your body instead of against it. So let's get to myth number 1. Calories are all that matter. This is one of the most persistent nutrition beliefs out there and one of the most misleading. You probably heard it from your apps, your weight loss programs, healthcare providers. If you're eating fewer calories than you burn, you'll lose weight and feel better. But for many people, especially those struggling with chronic fatigue, brain fog, or inflammation, this advice completely misses the mark. Yes, calorie balance affects weight, but inflammation isn't just about weight. It's about how your body is reacting to what you're putting in it. A 2024 Umbrella review published in the BMJ looked at nearly 10 million people and found that diets high in ultra-processed foods were linked to 32 adverse health outcomes, including obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, depression, and early death. These risks were independent of calorie count. So how is that possible? It's the food itself, not just the quantity, that affects your gut barrier, your microbiome, and your immune system. A 2023 review in Nutrients explained that emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, and industrial oils in ultra-processed foods damage the protective lining of our intestines. This creates the leaky gut, where unwanted particles enter the bloodstream and trigger your immune system, raising markers like CRP and IL-6. And here's what's even more frustrating. Many of your healthy, quote-unquote, low-calorie foods are still ultra-processed. Think flavored yogurts, protein shakes, light salad dressings, and low-fat frozen meals. These often contain gums, sweeteners, and additives that stress your system while offering very little in terms of actual nutrition. So if you've ever thought, I'm tracking everything, I'm staying under my calories, why do I still feel terrible? The answer might be the calories aren't the problem, it's inflammation. Chronic inflammation is subtle. It doesn't show up as a fever or a rash. Instead, it shows up as sluggishness, brain fog, stubborn weight gain, poor recovery, mood swings. It's made worse by the quality, not just the quantity of your food. So instead of counting calories, start paying attention to the ingredient quality. Your body doesn't just respond to how much you eat, it responds to what you're eating. Here's how to make a quick shift. Read the ingredient list, not just the nutrition label. If added sugars, industrial oils, or synthetic additives are in the first few ingredients, that's a huge red flag. Replace ultra-processed convenient foods like protein bars, frozen meals, flavored yogurts with simple batch-cooked meals, veggie bowls, and smoothies made from whole ingredients. Track how your body responds. Bloating, brain fog, and fatigue after meals are signals. If you log your meals, use a simple traffic light system. If you ate something and you just feel absolutely amazing afterwards, that's a green light. If you eat something and you feel okay, nothing really great, nothing really bad, that's yellow. If you eat something and you start to feel bad, if you feel like your energy drops, if your stomach hurts, if you get a headache, if you're just feeling not great, that's definitely red, and you need to start tracking what those foods are so you can look at removing those from your diet to help how you feel every day. But I want to be really clear here. The purpose of this is not to restrict everything that you're eating. It's to be aware of what you're eating and how it's affecting your body. So let's go to myth number 2. Sugar is fine in moderation. This one sounds reasonable, right? Until you look at what moderation actually means in the real world. The average American adult consumes around 70 to 90 grams of added sugar per day. That's nearly 3 times the recommended daily amount for women and double for men. And most of it doesn't come from candy. It's hidden in things like your yogurt, granola, sauces, condiments, cereals, protein bars, and even your quote-unquote health drinks. But the issue with sugar isn't just calories or weight gain. It's the metabolic and immune response that it triggers. A 2022 review in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences explained that high intakes of fructose and sucrose disrupt the gut barrier, alter your microbiome diversity, and increase gut permeability. So all of this means that more toxins and bacterial fragments are leaking into your bloodstream, activating your immune system. So that immune activation raises markers like IL-6 and TNF-alpha. Again, these are cytokines that are involved in fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, and insulin resistance. Another meta-analysis published in Nutrients confirmed that even modest daily sugar intake within the recommended amounts elevates CRP, IL-6, and TNF-alpha. So the idea that sugar is safe in moderation doesn't hold up when we look at inflammation risk. And beyond that, sugar makes your blood sugar swing. It causes sharp energy spikes followed by crashes that can leave you feeling tired, foggy, irritable, and craving more sugar. Over time, this repeated cycle contributes to mitochondrial stress, poor metabolic flexibility, and even cortisol imbalances. So the real problem here isn't having a piece of cake for your birthday. It's the daily low-level sugar exposure that you don't even realize is happening because it's built into the foods that you eat every day. If you're tired all the time, craving sweets in the afternoon, or feeling bloated after meals, your body may not be handling the sugar in moderation as well as you think it is. You don't need to eliminate all sugar, but you do need to get smart about what you're eating. Added sugars quietly fuel inflammation, they disrupt your blood sugar, and they drain your energy. So here's how to get started making better choices. First, let's focus on cutting added sugars from packaged foods, sauces, and drinks. Simple swaps like cinnamon, vanilla, or even citrus zest can help you flavor your foods without the sugar spike. Next, let's learn to spot hidden sugars, anything ending in ose, like glucose, sucrose, fructose, plus syrups, cane juice, honey, agave, and fruit concentrates. Then you need to look at choosing plainer versions of yogurt, oatmeal, and nut butters, things that don't have added sugars to them. And then you can add your own fruit or spices yourself so you know exactly what's in it. And then try going sugar-free for 7 to 10 days. You might notice changes in your energy, mood, cravings, or even your skin. Watch for sugar crashes in the afternoon. They're signs that your blood sugar is on a roller coaster. So if you're having those highs and lows throughout the day and you're feeling like you need to continually eat something sweet to keep going, your metabolic flexibility is definitely off, and we need to start making some adjustments to how much sugar is in your diet. And if you're a data nerd like me, you can use a continuous glucose monitor or a finger prick glucose monitor to see how your body is responding to different meals. I don't want you to get locked in on trying to be perfect with all of these things. I want you to just be able to make more informed choices. Even little shifts that you can make in the things that you eat every day are going to make huge improvements in your blood sugar stability and how your body is processing the foods that you eat. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to worry about getting rid of every single gram of sugar. Just focus on swapping out these high processed foods, looking for those OSE ending words in the ingredient lists, and just start making little changes. It's going to help you protect your focus, your energy, and your immune resilience. So now that we've covered sugar, let's move on to myth number 3. You only need to worry about food sensitivities if you have an allergy. This one's actually very, very close to home for me because I have a coconut allergy. And it's really interesting because if I eat coconut, I go into full anaphylactic shock. Like I can't breathe, my face swells up, my throat swells. It's really bad. If I have coconut or coconut oil in like a face cream or a lotion or something like that, I don't have as severe a reaction to it, but I still look like I have a sunburn wherever the coconut product was. And so I've had to learn to really read ingredients, especially over the last few years as coconut has become this huge, huge thing. I am absolutely allergic to it if I'm eating it. I'm sensitive to it if it's on my skin. And then when you start looking at some of the healthier body products, there's still coconut derivatives that are in the ingredient lists. And so I've had to learn what all of those are as well. So there's a lot that can go into thinking about food allergies and sensitivities. So when we think about it, we're really thinking about those dramatic reactions. We're breaking out in hives, we can't breathe, needing that EpiPen. So this is absolutely the food allergy portion. It's a fast immune reaction involving IgE or immunoglobulin E. So this type of response happens within minutes and is often severe. But that's not the only way that our immune system can react to food. There's also food intolerances, which typically involve difficulty digesting certain foods like lactose or histamine. And then there are food sensitivities, which fall somewhere in the middle. They don't cause an immediate life-threatening symptom, but they can still create long-term stress on your immune system. So food sensitivities trigger delayed immune responses, often raising inflammatory messengers like CRP and TNF-alpha without any obvious signs like rashes or stomach pain. The symptoms can show up hours or even days after eating the trigger food, making it hard to connect the dots on what actually caused it in the first place. According to a 2020 review by Dr. Alessio Fasano, certain proteins, especially those in gluten and dairy, can trigger the release of something called zonulin. It's a molecule that loosens the tight junctions in your intestinal lining, and this creates what is often referred to as the leaky gut. So when that gut barrier breaks down, proteins, toxins, and bacterial fragments are going to sneak into your bloodstream, and your immune system sees these as invaders and launches that inflammatory response. You may not feel anything right away, but that silent daily immune activation adds up over time. It's going to lead to fatigue, bloating, headaches, joint pain, and mood issues that seem completely unrelated to food. Identifying and removing those hidden triggers can dramatically reduce your inflammatory load and give you back the clarity, energy, and stability that you've been missing. So if you're struggling with fatigue, brain fog, or gut issues, certain foods could be contributing more than you realize. You don't have to fear the food that you're eating, but understanding what your unique triggers are can help you get more of your energy and clarity back. So consider doing a short elimination period. I would definitely recommend that if you're going to do this, that you work with your doctor so that they can help you with any kind of medication issues and symptom tracking. You can keep a simple food and symptom log, which can help connect meals to things like your fatigue, skin flare-ups, bloating, or mood swings. I'd recommend starting by removing common triggers like gluten, dairy, soy, and processed seed oils. And then use gentle digestive support, things like ginger tea, apple cider vinegar, or bitters before meals to help ease your potential discomfort from the meal. And then, one by one, reintroduce foods after that elimination phase has passed and observe how your body is responding to those foods. And then support your gut healing with nutrient-dense anti-inflammatory foods along with supplements like zinc, glutamine, collagen, and targeted pre- and probiotics. One thing to really keep in mind while you're going through all of this, if your body's reacting to something, there's a reason behind it. And it's really hard when you're eating all the things all the time to try to narrow down what that is. So once you remove what's driving the inflammation through that elimination period, and you start to restore your gut barrier with these supplements and the nutrient-dense foods, and then slowly introducing the things that you've eliminated, you're going to be able to understand what's going on in your body better, and you'll create that space that you need for healing to begin. Okay, let's move on to myth number 4. Anti-inflammatory diets are just another trend. The research is far beyond that. It's a well-studied pattern of eating that's been linked to measurable improvements in immune function, energy, cardiovascular health, and mental clarity. At its core, the anti-inflammatory diet is not a short-term cleanse or elimination plan. It's a sustainable way of eating that focuses on foods shown to lower inflammation markers like CRP, IL-6, and TNF-alpha, while also supporting your gut health, your hormone balance, blood sugar stability, and mitochondrial function. The most well-researched version of this is the Mediterranean-style diet, which is rich in colorful vegetables and fruits, olive oils and fatty fish, legumes and whole grains, herbs, spices, and fermented foods. A 2022 systematic review in Nutrients and a 2021 meta-analysis in nutritional journals showed that people following this pattern consistently had lower levels of inflammatory cytokines and improved metabolic and cardiovascular health. And here's what's important. This isn't a list of yes or no foods. It's a pattern. It's built on diversity, quality, and balance. You're adding nutrient-dense protective foods, not just taking things away. So when someone says that this is a trend, remind them trends don't hold up in 30-plus randomized controlled trials. This approach has decades of research behind it, and more importantly, it helps real people feel better day after day. The goal with the anti-inflammatory way of eating is to add the right foods one layer at a time. So you start with small shifts. You build meals around plants instead of processed substitutes. Think leafy greens, root vegetables, legumes, and herbs. Include omega-3 rich foods 3 to 5 times a week, including wild salmon, sardines, walnuts, chia seed, or flaxseed. Cook with anti-inflammatory spices like turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, rosemary, and oregano. Aim for diversity. Track how many different plant foods you eat in a week. A good target is 30 to support your microbiome and immune resistance. And I don't want that number 30 to make you feel overwhelmed. The 30 includes all plant foods. So if it's a grain, a vegetable, a fruit, an herb, a spice, all of these things can combine to hit that goal of 30 and get the nutrient diversity into your diet. Make sure that you're not just thinking about taking things away. You're also thinking about adding these protective healing foods. And using that 30 goal is a great way to do that. And then the last myth that I want to talk about today is that nutrition is personal and no one agrees on what's healthy, so we should just do whatever feels right for us. Now, this myth does have some truth in it, but not the way that many people think. It's true that bio-individuality matters. Some people feel great eating more carbs, others feel better with more proteins or fat. Our food sensitivities, activity levels, our health history, all of these things make a difference. But that doesn't mean that anything goes with what we want to eat. There are still core nutrition patterns that reliably increase inflammation and others that consistently reduce it. And we now have tools that measure this, including one called the Dietary Inflammatory Index. The DII was developed to evaluate how different foods influence the body's inflammatory state based on hundreds of published studies. It's assigned a score to foods and nutrients based on their impacts on inflammatory markers like CRP, IL-6, and TNF-alpha. So here's how that plays out. The pro-inflammatory foods include added sugars, processed meats, refined grains, trans fats, and alcohol. And anti-inflammatory foods include things like fiber, magnesium, omega-3s, vitamin C and E, polyphenol-rich foods like leafy greens, berries, herbs, and spices. Again, tying back to that goal of 30 for diversity. A 2021 review in Frontiers in Nutrition showed that combining polyphenols, like those found in olive oil, green tea, and dark-colored plants, with omega-3 fatty acids, has such a potent effect on reducing systemic inflammation, especially in people dealing with fatigue, insulin resistance, and brain fog. So yes, personalization does matter. Obviously, you don't want to eat foods that are going to increase gastrointestinal distress or cause some other reaction to eating the food. But if your version of healthy is still full of inflammatory triggers, your body's still going to let you know. It's going to let you know through symptoms like poor sleep, chronic pain, low energy, or stalled progress, like when you're trying to lose weight and you hit a plateau and just nothing seems to be able to get you past that. So I want you to think about stopping chasing the perfect diet. Instead, ask yourself, how can I reduce inflammation? Start there with more whole foods, more plant diversity, and fewer things that come in packages. When you eat to support immune regulation, gut health, and hormone balance, your body starts to respond, and that's where lasting progress begins. So here's how you can shift your focus. Number one, prioritize patterns over perfection. If 80 to 90% of your meals come from whole foods, your body's going to get the message. Number two, track how you feel, your energy, your sleep, digestion, not just what the scale says. The scale is going to have all kinds of things that are going on in your body, your distribution of muscle and fat, the changes that are happening day to day, how much water you're carrying from day to day. So that number may not change much, but how you're feeling, how you're sleeping, how your gut processes your food every day, these are definite signals that you're moving in the right direction, even if the scale is not moving. Number three, if you've tried multiple diets and you still feel inflamed or tired afterwards, your body likely needs better nourishment and repair, not more restriction. Learn from tools like the Dietary Inflammatory Index and don't get stuck on the analysis side. See food as support, not a test. Nutrition isn't about providing discipline, it's about giving your body what it needs to heal. So again, here's what I want you to remember. You're not failing. What's happening is that you're operating with incomplete information in a system that has been developed to profit from your confusion. But you don't have to stay stuck there. Your body wants to heal. When you start feeding it what it needs and removing what keeps it inflamed, the shifts are real. You start to think clearer, you have more energy, you sleep better, your moods are more stable, and you have a greater sense of calm in your body. If these things have been shaping your food choices, all of the myths that we've talked about today, and you're starting to see how they've kept you inflamed, depleted, and stuck in old patterns, it's time to take that next step. All of the things that we talked about today, the different shifts that you can make in your daily activities, your daily routines, what you're eating, all of these things are great ways to get started. And if you feel like you need a little bit of extra support, I want to introduce you to our new anti-inflammatory Power Reset membership. So we take everything that we talked about today and we turn it into practical steps. Every month, you get new anti-inflammatory guides focused on food habits and healing routines. We have a growing recipe library that supports your energy and your gut health. And then we have educational videos and audio content that's going to help you understand how your body works and what to do when you're feeling off. And all of these are self-paced tools, so you can use them on your own time, at your own pace, so you can help cut through the confusion, build consistency in your life, and support your body long term. You don't need more guesswork. What you need is a foundation that lowers inflammation while you're giving yourself the flexibility to live your life. So if you're interested, you can learn more about the membership. The link will be down in the show notes. And if you found this episode helpful, please take a second and rate and review the podcast. It helps more people discover our content and take control of their health. So thanks for listening to the Inflamed and Exhausted podcast today. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Inflamed and Exhausted podcast. If this episode helped you connect the dots or gave you a new perspective, I'd love it if you'd follow the show and leave a quick review. It helps more women find this message. If you're ready to take the next step, head on over to wellnessbydavlie.com, where you'll find free tools, anti-inflammatory teas, and information on our brand new anti-inflammatory Power Reset membership. Remember, healing isn't about being perfect. It's about staying curious, staying kind to yourself, and taking the next best step. I'll see you next time.